Hello, everybody. Thank you for attending our webinar today. My name is Desmond Byrne. I'm from a company called Refill Assistant. With me today is Ken Corcoran, who is the CTO of Refill Assistant, Pamela Logan from the IPU, she is the Director of Pharmacy Services, and Alan Riley, again from the IPU, he is the Head of Information and Technology. Just a couple of notes about the webinar. This webinar is recorded. If your name is referenced and you'd like me to remove it in any published recordings, please let me know and I will do so. Also, if you have a question during the webinar, we won't be able to hear you, but there is a Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. Just press on that and ask the question. Any professional services questions or SOPs regarding the flu vaccine will be handled by Pamela Logan of the IPU. Firstly, just to give you an introduction to Refill Assistant. Refill Assistant is a Cork-based software company. We help pharmacies get online so that you can work with your patients when they're at home. We offer a mobile and web script ordering, medication reminder tools, two-way messaging between patient and the pharmacy, and our new service, latest service supported by the IPU, is a flu vaccination booking service. This will be launched in advance of the flu season, so it'll be launched this month. This webinar will basically be covering how you can prepare your website to schedule bookings online, and it will also go into the new tool that we've developed supported by the IPU. So without further ado, I'm going to hand you over to Ken Corcoran, who is our CTO, and he will walk you through the article that he's written and also through the flu vaccination booking engine that's in development. Thank you. Okay, Ken.
That's great. Thanks, Des. Just let me know if there's any problem with the sound, Des, but hopefully everyone can hear me.
Yep.
So,
looks like we can hear you.
That's great. Thanks everyone for joining today's webinar. As Des said, my name is Ken Corcoran and we're going to take you through the process of using your website to organize vaccination booking for the upcoming flu season. So everyone involved in pharmacy in Ireland is aware of the challenges this presents, given the likelihood of COVID-19's potential resurgence. This year, more people than ever before will get vaccinated, and with social distancing at the forefront of everyone's minds, it's more important than ever that pharmacy-provided vaccinations are booked and delivered as efficiently as possible. Over the last few months, pharmacies have increasingly looked to online channels in greater numbers to deliver services and to conduct parts of their business. And consultations with patients in general, as well as specifically for this flu vaccination season, are critical considerations right now. Among vulnerable groups and their close contacts, awareness of the flu vaccine is at an all-time high, and its importance will be further emphasized by the government in the coming weeks. What all this means is that pharmacies will need to plan for increased numbers of people coming to the pharmacy for a flu vaccination, whilst also maintaining the necessary procedures to contain the spread of COVID-19. So today, the agenda is as follows. Firstly, planning. I'll describe the main factors that pharmacies should consider in advance of flu season. Secondly, your website, where does that fit in? And thirdly, a booking engine. I'll go through a detailed description of Refill Assistant's new booking engine service, which we're launching shortly. So this, as Des said, will be available in August to allow pharmacies to prepare in advance and get ready for the expected surge in demand for vaccinations. I'll go through a demo of what the service is, what its objectives are, and what the patient and pharmacy get. I'll show the patient UI and describe the steps involved for the patient to select a service, a time slot, and book the consultation. And then I'll show you the pharmacy perspective and go through the pharmacy backend functionality in the pharmacy portal. I'll discuss what we're implementing in version 1 around scheduling and configuration options. A key part of the tool will be how to manage the various consents required from a GDPR perspective and the vaccination-specific consents. So I'll describe how this works to allow pharmacies handle booking securely and obtain the consent in one place. Then it's open to the floor for discussion or questions. Also, if there are questions you want to ask us directly at any stage offline after the call, of course, feel free to contact us separately. So there are a number of things a pharmacy will have to plan for in advance in order to have a successful flu season this year. In particular, they will need to schedule staggered appointment times to allow for adequate treatment windows and waiting periods, and ensure that patients don't overlap in the pharmacy. It's critical this year to ensure that patients and staff are in proximity for the least amount of time possible. They will need to provide clear information on available time slots for vaccinations, and ideally patients will not have to call the pharmacy to book a suitable time. They will need to provide clear information about who the vaccination is recommended for. They'll need to capture personal information from the patient, and this should be planned for and facilitated remotely if possible. They will need to minimize the effort and contact points required to record and store vaccination details on site, and they will need to offer the patient an opportunity to speak to the pharmacist in advance. So various consents will need to be obtained from the patient, acknowledging they understand the benefits and risks of the vaccine, as well as the risks of influenza. So the pharmacy's website is an ideal tool to implement many of these tasks. While existing processes have been able to cope with the demands of previous flu seasons, trying to complete these tasks over the phone or in person could cause significant issues for staff and patients in winter 2020. The pharmacy website is an ideal mechanism for disseminating information about the flu vaccine and obtaining the necessary consent. The website itself can be broken down into three main areas. One, the static website content, which is informational in nature. Two, the consultation booking system. And three, the consent form. The informational content or static content can be implemented as a separate page and should, at a minimum, explain why getting the vaccine is important for preventing the spread of flu. It should also explain what protection the vaccine provides. It should detail the pharmacy's process around booking, administering the vaccine, and any precautions and guidelines relevant this year for COVID-19. It should outline which cohorts get the vaccine free of charge, and it should also detail the price for a private vaccination. So you or your website developer can easily develop content around these points, which can be implemented on your website's homepage, on a banner, or a dedicated page. The next two pieces, the booking engine and consent forms, are less straightforward and typically involve a lot more effort to get right, particularly in a healthcare environment where common solutions are often inadequate. These are tackled by the booking engine service we're developing with guidance from the IPU. So what is it? In a nutshell, the Refill Assistant booking service is an easy way to provide a pharmacy-focused booking engine to your patients through your website. It doesn't matter if you're a Refill Assistant customer or not, the booking engine is easy to install on any website. Whoever adds content to your website can follow an easy guide to paste some text into a page, and it's done. Your booking engine is now visible to patients. Also, once this step is done, you receive automatic updates to functionality and access to extra modules down the line without having to install anything new on your website. For the patient or user of your website, this appears as a book appointment button or something similar. It can be positioned anywhere on your pages, wherever makes sense for your website. Patients will see the appointment types you provide and book available time slots to attend for vaccinations or consultations. The various vaccination-specific consents required will be built into the tool, and this means that consent to be contacted about the appointment and any other service-specific consents that are also needed. So patients will book a slot and get SMS reminders to attend to prevent no-shows, and there's a very simple workflow for patients out of necessity. You don't want to complicate the steps and have patients abandon the process at any stage. From the pharmacy side, the pharmacy can decide which services they offer and the window when they're available to be booked. The length of time required between each appointment can be configured and can be different for different booking types. So for example, it could be 30 minutes for a flu vaccination and 15 minutes for cholesterol testing or diabetes screening. This is completely flexible, so whatever makes sense for the individual pharmacy is configurable. The tool supports multi-location chains, allowing different services or schedules or availability to be configured per pharmacy. And the pharmacy can also view booked slots to see what's coming up through their own private portal and see the patient contact information and also the specific consents given. So now I'm going to walk through a demo of the booking engine, showing how it works to allow patients easily book a flu vaccination slot, read the required information, and review and accept the vaccination-specific consent. So here is an example of a dummy website representing a fake pharmacy. The website has a simple layout and includes a book appointment button. The book appointment button is placed below a section on the website, but this can be positioned wherever you like. The button is the visible part of the widget you get when signing up to the service and can be pasted anywhere in your website. It can also be styled to fit into your branding. So when I click on this book appointment button, a widget pops up with a screen that shows the available appointment types provided by the pharmacy. In this case, we can see it's all about flu, and there are 4 flu vaccination types covering the possible options. For flu, you will need to know who's walking into the pharmacy and for what version of the vaccine. So this season, in terms of flu, there are 4 options offered: flu injection vaccination for adults, nasal vaccination for children, injection vaccination for children, and an injection vaccination for babies. The patient goes through simple steps where they select the required vaccine, read and agree they understand the vaccine information, pick a time slot, and give the specific consent. In this demo, I'm going to select a flu injection vaccination for adults, whereby the patient is presented with the vaccine-specific information. So they have to agree that they've read and understand all the information within it. In this case, it covers the who, what, and why of the flu vaccine, and the patient has to agree that they understand all the information before they can proceed to the next step. So in the next step, there's a very simple and familiar method to select the day and the appointment time. So in this case, I'm going to select Tuesday, August the 11th, and look for an available slot. So 11 a.m. is available and suits me. So I'll select that one and proceed to the next step. For this booking type, we're collecting the patient's name, PPS number, and mobile number. The PPS number is an optional field that can be made mandatory for a particular booking type or not. That's entirely up to the pharmacy. In this case, we chose to make it mandatory, but that's not essential if you don't want to do that. So I'll enter those details now. And I'm going to allow Church Road Pharmacy to contact me about the appointment and move on to the next step. So the final step is to agree that they understand and consent to the standard vaccination consent, and then book the appointment time. Then they get information about how to ask any questions about the vaccination or contact the pharmacy in case they need to reschedule their appointment. So at the same time as getting this alert, the message on the website, they'll also be sent an SMS message with the same information in there. So that's the patient-facing side of the booking engine. One important point to note with this is that all the consent and information text is customizable and modifiable per pharmacy. There'll be standard default text based on guidelines from the IPU, and this can be customized for a particular pharmacy or modified to include details of specific pharmacy processes and or information around COVID-19. Basically, any of the information in the information step and the consent step can be customized for each individual pharmacy's version of the widget. So now we'll move on to the pharmacy's back end to show what the pharmacy can see in terms of booked appointments. So when nominated members of pharmacy staff log into the back end, they have access to the appointment tab in the Refill Assistant pharmacy portal. This shows a dashboard of the booked appointments as they currently stand. So there are various ways to filter the view of these appointments. In this case, the default is for the next 7 days. So we can see here that there are appointments booked for today, for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, etc. This dashboard shows the booking time, the booking type, the patient name, the PPS number if provided, and their contact details via mobile. From a filtering perspective, the pharmacy can look at appointments just relating to today, or filter by this week, next week, etc. So this dashboard also includes a quick way to view and test the current configuration of your booking form. So if I click on View Booking Form, it pops up the booking form as it appears on your website. So this is an easy way for you to make sure that it's all working correctly and looking the way it should in terms of the data in there. And there's also a quick way to access the setup instructions for you or your web developer to incorporate into your website. So these are the 2 pieces of text that need to be cut and pasted onto your website pages. As we can see, this screen also contains a view button to allow the pharmacy to view more information and functionality around a specific booking. So when I click on that, we can see a different view of that particular appointment with some history about when it was booked and who viewed it from the pharmacy side, and also more information about the specific consent accepted. So this is when it was accepted here. And there is also the ability to view the specific text. So it is possible to modify the consent text dynamically presented to your users. So it's actually important then to record and show the specific consent text that the patient accepted. Below that, there's the ability to add internal notes to the appointment and also to cancel the appointment. So here also we're adding the ability to send a text message to the patient from the portal. So there will shortly be another button here to facilitate that communication channel. Plus down the line, other plan functionality includes changing appointment times and schedules, and also potentially adding voice and secure video calling if there's demand for it. And this could be quite useful in the new norm. So that's the first version of the product. On this webinar, I'm not going to discuss the upcoming features, but suffice to say there are a number being developed to complete the offering around remote consent gathering and remote face-to-face consultations. They would need a webinar of their own, which we'll schedule in at a later date. In terms of deployment, the product is delivered as a service, and for a special introductory monthly fee of €50 per month for IPU members, we'll provide a kit and guide for you or your web developer to install on any website. We'll provide support and guidance if there are queries on how to do this, but it's a very simple process that involves copying 2 small pieces of text, like I just showed, into your website. We'll also initially support rapid onboarding and updating your consultation types and schedules, as well as granting access to appropriate pharmacy staff. Tech support is provided locally in Ireland through our help desk. Enhancements and feature requests will be rolled out frequently, and new features will be made available without the pharmacy having to install software or update their website. There'll be unlimited booked appointments for patients and unlimited appointment types. In addition to flu vaccine appointments, you can also make available any other type of booking your pharmacy wishes to offer. So that wraps up my part of the presentation. Hopefully there were areas of interest there for you, and if so, feel free to follow up either online or offline. On our booking engine offering, we're more than happy to discuss one-on-one any queries you may have, but for now, if there are queries we can deal with on the webinar, Des and I and Pamela and Alan will be happy to take these now.